Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA front office hospital show because that's all we tend to talk about these days in the NBA. It's all the damn injuries. They're driving me crazy. I'm Trevor Lane, joined by Keith Smith. Keith, who's hurt now? God, I'm tired of this.
Yeah, because it wouldn't be the show without it. We've got a couple more updates to get into, and then there's a couple guys who seem like they're minor things. We didn't even put on the show topics for today that I'm sure will come up. But yeah, I don't know. Did you see the article by Tom Haberstroh on Yahoo today? And he partnered up with Jeff Stotts. Injuries are up 35% over the prior year in the same time frame. So anybody who's feels like more guys are getting injured. Yeah, they are way more. And there's more by the NBA's determination of who a star player is, which remember that was they've made an all-star team or an all-NBA team in the last 3 years. That's how they work through the player participation policy. It's something ridiculous number of them have already been out and have missed multiple games this year. It's 49 of those some odd players or something over the last 3 seasons that meet that criteria. So just I mean, this is ridiculous now. 2 more long-term injuries, one to quite frankly a team that didn't need it. So which one do you want to start with?
I feel awful for them. Let's just start with the Pelicans. Jose Alvarado now out with a hamstring injury. What was it? At this point, the injuries are jumbling together. I think it's 4 to 6 weeks on Alvarado.
I believe the Pelicans said 3 weeks he'll be reevaluated, but I think it was Shams' tweet said it was going to be 4 to 6 weeks with this. So Jose Alvarado joins. So these are the Pelicans that are out right now. Trey Murphy back, thank God. But these are the Pelicans who are out. Jordan Hawkins, Herb Jones, CJ McCollum, DeJounte Murray, Zion Williamson, Jose Alvarado. Those 6 guys, that's a good rotation of players, right? That group alone would win some games. And the Pelicans are without all of them. And these are not without them for another couple days. This is long term on all those, because I think Hawkins is the expected to be the shortest absence of that group.
So Keith, I mean, this is just to put it in perspective, this is 80% of the Pelicans starting 5 is out still. And because look, Trey Murphy, you could argue maybe he should start and all that, but still he's a significant piece. But still 80%, 4 of their 5 starters are out. Now you've lost Jose Alvarado. Jordan Hawkins is a big piece too. It is insane what's happening with the Pelicans and around the NBA. Again, it's not just the Pels, but they're the team that's being affected. Maybe, I mean, I guess you could argue the 76ers because of the megawatt stars that have been out, but still, these are significant injuries to the Pelicans, and you just feel for this team. I mean, they just can't seem to get anybody healthy. I promise everybody, we do have some really cool stuff to talk about on today's show beyond just injuries. We're ripping the Band-Aid off for guys that need Band-Aids right now, but injuries have been a big part of the story in the NBA so far this season, and the Pelicans have been absolutely decimated.
Yeah, and what did we say at the beginning of the year? In the West, it was okay, Utah and Portland aren't going to be very good. San Antonio, who knows, right? It was a little maybe they could make the leap, but chances are they're not going to be very good. And we're 2 other teams have to fall out. And we repeatedly said someone is going to have the season from hell where the wheels come off and there's just a bunch of injuries. It looks like that team is the Pelicans. They are 3-8. They're at the bottom of the Western Conference ahead of, I believe it's only the Jazz, who are 2-7. So the Pelicans have lost 5 games in a row. I don't see it getting better for them anytime soon. They're not going to probably go on a 20-game losing streak or anything, but it's at some point you look at it and you're what are we going to push for? You're hoping maybe you steal a couple wins here in the next week, and then all right, that buoys us a little bit. Maybe we can just kind of hang in there and be close to the race. But some of these guys aren't coming back until we're, around Christmas, New Year's. And if you at that point, season could already be lost. And it's worth noting they have their own pick and they have the Bucks pick if it falls 1 through 4. A lot of people confused. They don't have the Lakers pick anymore. I know you know this.
I know
but
that.
the pick is going to Atlanta now. They traded that pick in the DeJounte Murray trade. I had a couple tweets about it, and people were like, well, hey, don't forget the Lakers pick too. And I was like, they don't have that anymore. They traded that in the DeJounte Murray trade, but they do still have the Bucks pick. If it falls 1 through 4, they have their own picks. So there's going to be some point where if you can't win enough and then be getting these guys back, where you're like, not saying you just sit them all for the rest of the year, but where it's like, we're not going to push now. Like, let the season be what it is. And if we fall into this lottery at the top of this great draft class with 1, maybe 2 picks, if Milwaukee can't get it together, all right, so be it. We'll live with that and figure it out as we move forward.
And that's not what, if I'm the Pelicans, I'm not banking on Milwaukee giving you a top 4 pick.
No.
Even if, there's a chance they don't give you a top 4 pick, even if Milwaukee's the worst record in the league. But I don't expect them to be that. I think they will right the ship at some point, maybe not to jumping back to being contenders or something like that. But I do think they're going to be, better than what they are or what they have been so far. But it's just worth mentioning. You never know in the draft. Wasn't it? God, I want to say it was the Baron Davis salary dump way back in the day, where that essentially the Clippers wound up giving Kyrie Irving to the Cavs because they trade. It was a late pick, I want to say it was like the 10th pick or something like that they gave them, and it wound up jumping up in the lottery. So you never know. I mean, the Cavs, or I'm sorry, the Bucks could wind up just barely missing out, finding themselves in the lottery, and then some lottery misfortune, I guess, from the Bucks perspective, could hand a top 4 pick to the
I think
Pelicans.
the Bucks are out anyway, so it would fall to whoever it is.
That's true.
I think that pick is split.
Well, but if you're the Bucks, though, if you're a Bucks fan, it's a little easier. It'll be, let's face it, if they're in the lottery, it's a tough
you hand
season.
Out the 14th pick,
it's right. It doesn't feel as bad as, oh no, we gave Cooper Flag up or something. That would be devastating.
Just to close the loop on that, 1 to 4 goes to New Orleans, 5 to 30 to Brooklyn. Is what that is for Milwaukee. Doesn't they're out, they don't keep it at all. But yeah, you're absolutely right, man. This is just brutal for the Pelicans, and you start looking at it. Here's the other thing I wanted to touch on in this situation too. They have the ability right now to go for multiple hardships if they wanted to. They could sign a whole bunch of guys. I think it's 3 or 4 players to hardship exceptions. But here's the challenge. They are also over the luxury tax. Once you subtract DeJounte Murray's bonuses, because most of his bonuses are tied to games played number as well as then a stat achievement, he's very unlikely to make the games played number. So if you take those out, they're going to be about $800K-ish over the luxury tax without all that in there. But the challenge becomes for the Pelicans is every guy you sign to a 10-day, like veteran signings on a 10-day hardship deal, are going to come in with, it's like roughly $100,000 or so in that range that you're going to end up paying them out. And you add up enough of those. Now, all of a sudden, we're in a spot where it's like, can we actually even trade out of the luxury tax? And why that part becomes important. If you're not a taxpayer, you're going to get a payment from all of the tax-paying teams that's somewhere between $18 and $20 million. So if you're the Pelicans, you really don't want to be just a little bit into the tax, and you certainly don't want to be just a little into the tax if you're not a very good team. So
100%.
At some point it may get so silly that it's like, hey, we only have 7-8 healthy guys, and we have to go sign players just to field a functional team, and then they'll figure it out from there. But yeah, they're in a tough spot.
Keith, I do want to just, before we move on to our next injury, a positive just broke. We've got Anthony Davis is okay to play. He will play in tomorrow's game against the Grizzlies. He is okay. Oh, wait, sorry.
Nope.
Anthony Davis is okay, but Christian Wood has experienced soreness in his surgically repaired knee and will be scaled back and is out at least another 4 weeks.
Well, I mean, I guess if you could have one out of those two,
sure.
You take AD being okay. They're getting by all right without Christian Wood. But yeah, that's another. I mean, it so remains Anthony Davis, Jackson Hayes, and Christian Koloko. That's it for your big rotation in Los Angeles for the time being.
Well, but the good news, AD is okay after the eye poke of doom from Jakob Pertl, which was completely unintentional. I'm just poking fun at Jakob here.
There you go.
Dad jokes for days. All right,
good times.
let's move on to the Sacramento Kings. Malik Monk is out due to an ankle injury. Keith, I thought they actually lost by I think it was about 20 last night to the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, they got popped.
I think not. Well, they got Wemby, but I think
Johnson.
Yeah, they did. They missed Malik Monk because the whole thing with the Kings is they're just going to overwhelm you with offense. So you had Sabonis, and their defense is not terrible, but they had Sabonis, they had Monk. I'm sorry, they had Fox, they had DeRozan. They all did their thing, but you kind of missed that added flamethrower Malik Monk capability coming off the bench. And maybe that changed the outcome of this game, but the Kings, fortunately, the ankle injury sounds like it's just a 2-week thing as opposed to some of the other ones that we've been dealing with recently. But still, the Kings will be without a very important player for them for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, big time. I wonder, and I posited this idea on the basketball bulletin when I wrote up the game notes. Only a 5-game night. All the games ended early. Thanks to everybody who hung out on overtime last night. I had a blast with you guys talking through the NBA and giving you a little bonus live show since we missed last Friday. We had a lot of fun. But one of the things I wrote in the basketball bulletin after I watched this game was, I wonder if one of the things Mike Brown can do is maybe put Kevin Huerter on the second unit and start Keon Ellis, just so you have some scoring on that second group. Kind of, put Huerter out there and kind of let him do his thing. Let him, shoot quite a bit on that second group. See if you can fully get him going, and then 2, Keon Ellis just gives you a little bit more offense, defense balance in your starting group. I know they like Huerter out there for his shooting and spacing with the opening lineup, so it's probably not likely they'll change it. And let's be realistic, it's only 2 weeks, so that's probably, I don't know how many games they play, but it's going to be no more than like 7 in a 2-week period. So I think it probably is just, we'll ride it out and figure it out, and maybe 1 or 2 of the G League guys sees a little run or something like that. But just, it's gonna be a little bumpy. The big thing for the Kings right now is they're just very inconsistent. Like, they're not inconsistent with effort. It's just execution. Some nights it feels like for them, the shots aren't going down. Then they get a little sloppy with the ball because they start taking some chances. Defensively, they're better than we often give them credit for, myself included in that. But they're not like a lockdown defensive team where it's like that keeps them in every single game. And last night, what caught them was Wemby hit a bunch of threes. And if he's going to make a bunch of threes, good luck. Like, you're probably not going to win. And that was exactly what ended up happening.
He shot one. I mean, he shot it from out of state. Like, he was a few steps in from the half court line. He was incredible. He had another one of those, Keith, another one of those blocks where you're just like, where Sabonis thought he had a bucket. Right, he thought he had a bucket, and rightfully so, because against literally anyone else in the NBA, it's going in. But Wemby just kind of go gadgets his way to the ball, and suddenly Sabonis didn't know what had happened. He's like, how did this get blocked? Absolutely unreal stuff. And you kind of had a feeling this was coming for Wemby because he hasn't shot all that well on the season, but he's not really that bad of a shooter. So there was a bounce back. There was going to be a regression game coming. And I think that's what we saw last night.
Yeah, my thing with Wembanyama too, and I'll spin this down to Washington and Alex Sarr as well. Just keep shooting them. Right now is the time to get this figured out. These games are low stakes, low pressure. You're not trying to, not that San Antonio is content to lose forever, but you're not really trying to win yet in either San Antonio or Washington. So let your big guys shoot, see if they can figure it out and go from there. So I it's going to be a little bumpy for the Kings right now without Malik Monk, but they're okay. They've got enough talent. But again, you're trying to play your way out of the play-in tournament in the West. I looked at the standings this morning. So Jazz, Pelicans, Blazers, Spurs. Do you know who the 5th team is out right now in the Western Conference?
It's the Mavs. I was just talking about this for Lakers Nation earlier. Yeah, it's the Mavs at 500. They're the 11th seed in the West.
Yeah, and it's obviously that's like
It's
fun with
early.
standings because it's such
Sure.
small sample size here and early in the season, but still it just gives you a sense of you really can't afford bad weeks, right? You're gonna have to find these wins somewhere or another. So still top of the West team we're gonna go to next in our conversation, Oklahoma City, and we're gonna
God, I love this.
when we have a chance, we're gonna pull some clips and show you guys some stuff. So the Thunder, let's talk about this right now. They are in a spot where they are without Chet Holmgren, without Isaiah Hartenstein, without Jalen Williams. So their three centers are out. So what they went to against the LA Clippers and Ivica Zubac, Jalen Williams, the small one, the wing one, was the 5. He jumped center and then proceeded to guard Zubac. They had Zubac super flustered early on in this game where like they were just, it was arms everywhere, right? And even though the Thunder are small in height, they're still very long and they're fairly physical. So I'm going to play a clip here so everybody can kind of see. This was right after the tip. This was the first play of the game. And what I love when we play this, you can see Jalen Williams sets a strong base, knocks it free. And I'll run it a couple times so people can see it. And then off and running the other way here. But we'll run it again. So look, strong base, right? Challenges the entry pass, takes the hit, and then reaches out as Zubac comes across with the ball, knocks it free, and off and running are the Thunder. So just little thing to give you a little bit of a sense of how you have to play if you're that small. You have to set your base strong, and then you're going to go after the guy there and get after it. So, and that's how they played all game long. The biggest guy who played for them was Ousmane Dieng, who's 6'9" and has been basically functioning as the team's backup 5 behind Holmgren to start the year. Everybody else, I think then you get into like Kenrich Williams, who's like 6'7", who did return. He played his first game, played about 5 minutes or so, and they still won. The Clippers made a really good run at it late, but the Thunder won. SGA was ridiculous, 45 points. Williams not only doing all of that, 28 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists in that game. There was times where Zubac was like, what am I supposed to do on the defensive end? Like, how am I supposed to guard anybody here? What is this what's happening? And he's played really well, and he played well in the second half. And that was part of the Clippers got back in the game, made a real run at it. Norman Powell continued just the absolute flamethrower of the season for him. He's been terrific. And I wrote again on the basketball bulletin, I wrote Clippers have to be really careful they don't de-emphasize him too much when we get back to having Kawhi Leonard back in the lineup, whenever that is. You got to make sure Norman Powell's still getting his shots because he's been their best offensive player so far this year.
Yeah, he's averaging like 26 points per game for the month of November. He's been phenomenal. So here's the thing, and this is what I love when we get into the tactics of the game. Okay, so the Thunder are going to have a big disadvantage here, and literally a big disadvantage because they don't have bigs. Ivica Zubac is, as I recall off the top of my head, 4th in the NBA right now in rebounds per game. So he's going to crush you on the glass. And there's not a lot. I mean, the Thunder can do everything they can to make life difficult on him. Sure. But the bottom line is the Clippers are going to have a big advantage in rebounding. So what can you do? Well, the Thunder realize that, hey, the Clippers are going to see, mouse in a house. Let's be super. We're going to try to get the ball to Zoo. We're going to try to take advantage of that. And the Thunder said, cool, we're going to jump those passing lanes. We're going to have Jalen Williams step in front. He's going to knock the ball free. We're going to be pestering him. And so you look at what happened. How do you negate 15 offensive rebounds, 47 rebounds overall? I'll show you the Thunder in just a minute. That it is a big rebounding advantage. Well, you force a lot of turnovers. 23 turnovers for the Clippers in this game because the Thunder were so pesky on the defensive end of the floor. You compare that to just 11 turnovers for OKC, but look at that. 9 offensive rebounds for OKC, 29 rebounds. They did get crushed on the glass, but look at the steals category. 5 for SGA, 3 for Isaiah Joe, 2 for Lou Dort. You've got these guys contributing in getting these extra opportunities to help negate that rebounding edge. The Thunder, they played this perfectly. My question, though, is can they do this long term? This is the first game without Chet. We tend to see in this type of situation, you lose a star level player. What happens? All the role players step up because everybody says, uh-oh, this guy's out. We really have to bring our A game. The attention to detail is at an all-time high in these situations, but it's over the long haul that you see the effect really play out. So it worked in this game, and they did a great job countering the advantage that the Clippers had, but can they do it long-term? Or at least for a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks till they get Isaiah Hartenstein back? I think they will slip up, at least I don't think they can do this every single night, but against the Clippers, they executed the game plan extremely well.
Sure, and I have two thoughts related to that. So nothing against Ivica Zubac, who's had an outstanding start to this season. He's been playing great basketball. But the Clippers are kind of a good team to have this happen because what happens with them is just keep it there. Look at that bench. There's not another big coming, right? They don't start two bigs. So when Zubac is out of the game, the 14 minutes he didn't play, the Thunder, I think they ultimately got outscored, but still you're not having to deal with another big, right? You're just, hey, we can play super small because they're going to play super small. The Clippers backup center has in effect been Nick Batum for most minutes this year. Kai Jones, he didn't play in this game. He generally gets out there for about 5-6 minutes a game, but Nick Batum is a guy who functions as the backup five when they really need one right now. So that's just, not the worst matchup to kind of have to go into your must play small lineup with for the Thunder. So, fun game. This was if people are like, I was looking for something to watch, later, you want to throw it on. It was a fun game, back and forth, and a lot of scoring. And then, like you said, 16 steals for the Thunder. That was the other point I wanted to make. Remember too, steals are the best kind of turnovers because they're live ball. They often result in going the other way for fast breaks, easy buckets. You saw it on the clip we showed. Jalen Williams pokes it away. SGA comes up with it and off and running, and Isaiah Joe ends up with a layup. So that's going to be how they're going to play. That's above. They lead the league in steals. They came in right around 12 per game, and they got above that in this one. So I would expect a lot more of that, a lot more ball pressure, help coming from all over, just trying to fluster guys. As obviously teams are going to do what they can to try to force the ball inside.
Yeah, absolutely. The Thunder are going to have the mentality of, you have the advantage in the paint. We're going to try to make it so you don't get there. We're going to do everything we can to keep you out on the perimeter. All right, let's jump over to the Cavs, who are now 12-0. I got to say, Keith, the Chicago Bulls, they were game in this one. They did not back down. Right, and I think I made this point earlier today. I think that now we're going to see teams doing everything they can to become the team that's the first to hand a loss
100%.
To the Cavs. I think teams are going to now get up, and we saw that's what Chicago did. We're going to see teams get up now to play the Cavs for as long as this streak keeps going.
Yep, two things with that. You're spot on. Teams want to end it, right? So they're going to be getting everybody's best shot here. The other thing is, and I said this on our overtime show last night, and I've said it on this show before, it's worth remembering most long win streaks. So once you get up around 8, 9, 10 games or more, they generally end very poorly, because what happens is it starts out one of those nights where it's just not going our way, where we're not making any shots, we can't get any stops, the opponent's hitting everything, and then what the players kind of collectively are like, all right, we won 12 in a row, 13 in a row, whatever this runs out to for the Cavs. All right, let's dial it back. If we take a loss, not the end of the world, we'll start a new streak next time out. And you just kind of dial it back. And often a long win streak comes with a blowout loss on the back end of it. That's just, if you can go back and look up long win streaks in NBA history, and that's what happens. When I wrote the little banner here, Cleveland wins big, wasn't about the scoreboard. This is about Cleveland wins big, right? OKC went small and won. Cleveland went big. If you're going to win big, part of how you win big is you got to have guys who can pass. So let's watch this clip. We'll watch it a couple times. Mitchell to Mobley, dishes to Caris Lever. This is now a nightly thing that happens for Cleveland when we watch these plays. So if we watch it again, Mobley comes up. He's going to set the screen, But Mitchell, look how far back he pulls the ball here as we pause this. And for podcast listeners, I apologize. Go over to the YouTube, subscribe there too if you listen on the podcast feed, and you can see this video. But Mitchell pulls this ball way back. He's at almost the hash, which, kind of eliminates like the coach's box. And what he is he's way out there. And what you see with this is that allows Mobley, doesn't really screen, slips open. Now, the way the Bulls play this, they help out of the corners. So Vooch is going to recover, but he's obviously way behind it. So Kobe White lifts out of the corner, which leaves Caris Lever. Caris Lever very smartly stays rooted to the corner, because if he cuts to the basket, Patrick Williams is already in help position dropping into the paint. You can see it here. This is why I like doing this, because you can kind of freeze it. So you can see everybody dropping. Darius Garland stays home, which keeps Zach LaVine. So when Mobley gets it, by the time he hands it one dribble, he's there. He has one of two plays. Either he could try to drop it into Wade, but he takes the easier play, hits Levert in the corner, wide open. Nobody can get out there. Patrick Williams, too far to contest. Easy bucket. I love that they're using Mobley, and they use Allen in this way too, more as passers. They're asking them to do a little bit more with take one dribble, find a pass, free throw line extended, and playing through your bigs, and it opens up your other guys for a lot of stuff. So just a fun little clip there. Wanted to share it here on the show and break it down. Thought people might enjoy that.
No, yeah, that was great. If you can go back to when Donovan Mitchell had the ball and the screen was being set,
Sure.
You can get right back to that spot. So this is what teams are often trying to create, right? Essentially, you're trying to create, if you move it forward just a little bit here, teams are trying to create a man advantage, and that's essentially what's happening here. And what has happened, like right there. Okay, so now you've got a 4-on-3. You have 4 Cavs players, 3 Bulls defenders. That's what the offense is trying to create. Now, we have seen teams in the past, Frank Vogel teams, I know very well, oftentimes would give this up in order to get the ball out of the hands of a particular high-scoring player, whether it was a wing or a guard. Betting on their 3 defenders being good enough to cover this ground here. But what's happening is, as time's going on, particularly bigs, they have now seen this so many times, they're not getting as flustered when they're being put in spots. Now, obviously, it depends on the player. Mobley is a pretty good passer, even for a big, for anybody, but he's a pretty good passer for a big. But guys are getting better and better as decision makers in these types of situations as they're being put in them over and over and over, and there's more and more experience here. So it becomes an even bigger advantage when you've got a big that can make this kind of a read, because that's everything that the defense is hoping to do in this point. Just get the ball into the hands of somebody who's a little bit shaky with their decision making, and then you're able to capitalize on that. When it's Evan Mobley, you can't do that, and the Cavs are absolutely going to feast in these kinds of situations.
Yeah, and you can really see that 4-on-3 advantage here. I advance it to where Mobley's now taking his dribble. He's right at the free throw line. If Kobe White stayed home on Caris Levert, Mobley can either take it in himself on Patrick Williams, drop it off to Dean Wade, who's cutting out of what at this point it's almost a balanced floor, but would have been the strong side corner. Which is why a lot of times you'll hear teams say don't help strong side, right? You never want to leave the strong side man open. But in this case, Kobe White lifts, so Patrick Williams has to go middle. And if Zach LaVine drops to take Dean Wade away, Mobley has the pass out to Darius Garland. So it's really great floor balance from Cleveland too. And part of this is because this is a big, it's all shooters around him, right? So these are all guys who can make a shot. That makes this really hard to defend. And that's part of why Cleveland's 12-0. They've got really good stuff with this. So it's one play, but this is a really good example of the things Kenny Atkinson has the Cavs doing that JB Bickerstaff occasionally had them doing, but he never had them doing it all the time. And when I've watched the Cavs, and I've probably watched out of their 12 games, probably watched 9 of them, I think the whole game through. A few of them I bailed on definitely because they were hammering the team so badly. But when you watch their games, Atkinson was forcing actions like this. And this is where, too, this is no knock on Nick Vucevic, but he's slow, right? So you're not worried about him catching back up and making too big of a mess of whatever it is you're trying to run. Because even if everybody had White stayed home. Williams stepped to Mobley. Levine drops to the cutter. Vooch isn't getting there in time to bother the kick out pass to Garland. So that's, just really, really good basketball. This is one of my favorite plays from last night's games. And I just wanted to highlight it because I wanted to give the Cavs a little bit of love with this great start on this season.
Yeah, they've been absolutely fantastic. All right.
One other thing, just with the Cavs too, in this game, with 4:42 left in the third quarter, they were down by 7, and Kenny Atkinson went to a full bench unit. Didn't have any of his starters on the floor. So Mitchell, Garland, Allen, Mobley, and Isaac Okoro, the 5th starter, and they proceeded to outscore Chicago by 10 the rest of the way. With the lineup was Sam Merrill, Caris Lever, George Niang, Ty Jerome, who's been playing unbelievable off the bench, one of the highest per minute scorers in the NBA this year, and Dean Wade outscored them 19-9 over the final 4:42 of that game and won. So just, it's all working for Cleveland right now.
That's right. It's been fantastic for them. Now, Keith, I said this on a video I did for the Basketball Bulletin. I looked ahead at the Cavs schedule, and they do have some interesting games coming up. I'm just pulling it up right now so I can remember it off the top of my head here. Okay, so they're at Philly. I'm trying to remember. They're at Philly tomorrow. Is Embiid back for that one, or is it one more?
He's back Wednesday. Okay. He's supposed to play Wednesday.
So that's a big one, right? But if you look at it, it goes Philly, Chicago, Charlotte.
No, wait, I apologize. He's playing tonight. So he probably will not play Wednesday. He's supposed to play tonight, I think, against the Sixers in the NBA Cup game. So he likely will not play Wednesday because, he was the one who said he wasn't playing back-to-backs, and I would assume that's probably correct. So, yeah. So very likely he'll be out.
You mean he's going to play against the Knicks?
Yeah, what did I say?
Against the Sixers. Yeah, he's been playing against the Sixers so far this season by sitting on the bench.
Yes. No, correct. Yeah, against the Knicks tonight. That's the TNT game, NBA Cup game. We're going to talk about NBA Cup here in a moment, but that's the big one. So he's supposed to play tonight, and then my guess is he will sit tomorrow when they host the Cavs.
Okay, so let's get into I'm sorry. My point there was that my hope is this, Keith, that the Cavs remain unbeaten for November 19th on TNT in Boston.
Yeah.
How awesome would that be?
Yeah. That would get them
so fun.
15-0. So
yeah. That would be so fun.
Yeah, I'd be excited with that. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. I kind of think they're going to trip up here in one of these games coming up, just because
your Hornets are going to do it, Keith.
That's it. My Hornets, let's go. Who are playing okay? They're playing all right. They're eighth in the East right now at a robust 4-6. But moving on anyway. It's so yeah, but man, if they could get into that game against Boston. That's the day my parents arrive in town, so I'm sure it'll be me watching that game with all forms of distractions. But anyway, it'll be fun.
All right, let's get to this. Let's go to the Wolves ownership dispute update. I actually don't know what the story is here. What is going on with the Wolves ownership dispute update?
Yeah, it's not like we have any kind of resolution yet, but the arbitration hearings are over. So they did their hearings. Those went on over the last week plus, and now the three-person panel will go and do their deliberations, and they're going to come back with a decision on this. John Krasinski of The Athletic says this is probably going to take a few weeks before this comes back. With any kind of answer. So we'll see potentially. He may have actually said a few months. Actually, I believe is what he said. So a few months before they come back with an answer here. So nothing, overly huge, but we've talked about the story previously. I think what you would really want to have if you're like the Wolves front office, let's have this done before the trade deadline. So we kind of know what we're working with or not working with here. Now they're a second apron team, so chances of a major trade happening are slim to none. But they were a second apron team and made the Karl-Anthony Towns trade, and that didn't stop them. So, but I think I would want to at least have some sense of like, hey, who's writing the checks and how big of ones are they willing to write beyond just this season with this. So now all accounts are both sides of this ownership fight were on board with the Cat trade and we're both okay with it. So they both kind of made that clear. But yeah, if I'm Tim Connolly and staff, I'd like to have some resolution. So, but just it's moving forward just at the snail's pace that these things generally do.
All right, let's jump over to the NBA Cup starting tonight. And Keith, I am just seeing this. I didn't know. Did you know they're changing the ball for the NBA Cup?
No. What?
Yeah. Well, okay, let me show you. This is Ryan Ward from Lakers Nation just retweeted this. This is from the Yahoo Sports Twitter account. New basketball design for the NBA Cup. Now, it looks like it's just a print on the ball, and I'm hoping that's the case. But take a look here. So there's the trophy is on the ball. I'm hoping that the feel of the ball has not changed. That's just a print. That's on the ball itself. So that's I don't like changing the ball. I don't like when they did that synthetic.
I was afraid
ball?
You were gonna say it was gonna be like color, like a different color.
Oh, that would be awful. Right. No, but I'm hoping that's not that bad, all things considered.
How many times do you think they took him to get that shot? Right there. Because that thing rolled smooth.
It really did.
Like that was impressive.
Yeah. I mean it
didn't start getting all sideways and stuff. So.
Had the right rotation and it went across NBA Cup.
Yeah.
Credit to whoever did that. Yeah.
Good cinematography.
Right?
Hey, speaking of cinematography, I'm sorry, I'm going to take us completely off track. Did you see the Deadpool, Black Panther 3 news today?
No.
Denzel Washington's going to be in it.
Ooh, that's exciting.
He came out. So two pieces of like Denzel Washington news. One was he's going to apparently be in Black Panther 3 and Ryan Coogler is writing him a spot in the movie as he's writing the script for Black Panther 3. He also, Denzel Washington said, he's only going to do a few more films and then he's going to retire, which is also.
I don't blame him.
I don't blame him. I also don't know that I believe it because like actors say this all the time and rarely do they ever go away. But I mean, yeah, if he wants it, good for him. Right?
Yeah.
Like should be. But yeah. Sorry, heard cinematography and I was like, oh, I might as well talk about it.
Cinematography. Marvel stuff. Yeah.
I think I'm reflecting maybe your excitement for the NBA Cup. I think of the two of us, I think I'm a little more excited than you are. But you're not as down on it as
really? No. So I'm not down on the NBA Cup. I'm not. So I'm more reflecting like I asked you before we started, like how excited do you think people are really for the NBA Cup? Because I still see a lot of negativity, but I've been pretty consistent with this in that number one, before we called it the in-season tournament last year, before it started, I said, look, everybody hated the play-in until they saw the play-in. And then they went, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. We like this. So now the play-in stays. I said, let's give it a chance because everybody was so dismissive and this is dumb and this is stupid and we don't want this and blah, blah, blah. And we don't care about whether or not this model works in soccer and all this kind of stuff. I said, let's give this a chance. And then when I saw what we got on the court, I said, I'm in because we got not quality, but playoff intensity basketball in November. And if you can give me that, I'm in. It's the same argument for why I don't like the All-Star game because the players don't care about it. If the players care about it, I'm in. The players last season cared about the NBA Cup. I'm in. So I'm okay with. I'm excited for it. Good. I didn't like the courts. I didn't like the floors.
Too much.
My eyes. I'm still seeing spots, but I like I in general am in favor of the NBA Cup. And I think the problem is this is the problem we have with the NBA Cup, Keith, is that so many people were so vocally negative about the NBA Cup last year, they can't come off that opinion now. They were so strongly against it. They don't want to say, "Oh yeah, that was actually kind of cool," and it's the cool thing to be like, "No, this is dumb. This is stupid." Blah blah. All that kind of stuff, without just admitting, "Hey, the basketball was actually really fun that we got from the NBA Cup last year." But people were so vocal about it, they can't come off of that. So now we still have to be negative about this starting up.
Yeah, there are tweaks I would love to see them make. I'd like to see it let's mix up all 30 teams in the group stage. right? We can figure out how to make East and West work. Like if and I mean it would. I mean I know you and I would both love to get a third Celtics Lakers game.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of out of nowhere. And if and if that means we got to hold on other stuff, whatever, right? Everybody still plays 82 games. Like I don't, it's not because you are still gonna do the double counting and all that stuff, but it's fine. Like it's not who's gonna go completely crazy over it. I know somebody will if they miss the postseason by a game, right? They'll lose their minds on, oh, it's because we had to play that stupid extra game against whoever. The Knicks fans weren't happy about their seed last year at times because it was like we had to play these extra games against, I think they got both Milwaukee and Boston extra time. So that part I'd like to see tweaked. I'd like to see maybe like I would love to see them do something where you work in a couple of G League teams and make it more of a real tournament phase, just because that's what makes like those soccer tournaments and even the basketball tournaments over in Europe a lot more fun, is because you do have the idea of that. But the reality is no NBA team wants a G League team in there, because if they were to lose to them, that's really bad. Right. But that's all part of it. Right. That would be part of it. So that part, maybe, we could see something down the line. But yeah, it was more competitive. Guys were getting after it. I'm looking forward to it starting tonight. It gives me, I love tracking things. So it gives us one more thing to track. That's kind of fun. And then I really don't believe anybody when they're like, they didn't like that last night when it was like, all right, how many points are they behind? And everybody was like chasing point differentials and stuff. Yeah. That stuff's fun, right? Like we had a lot of fun with that. So yeah, I'm excited for it to start tonight. Here's what I'll say too. If you're absolutely staunchly against it, fine, just watch and pretend it's just a regular season game. Then, right? Just
the courts make it
right?
so you can't do that, because that was what I said too. And then the courts like beat you over the head with the fact that it is an
TV
NBA
on black and white mode. Then I don't know, but yeah, it's
for a night. Go back to 1957. Put your TV in black and white mode, and then get up and physically. I don't even know if you could do it anymore. Change the channel on the TV itself.
Oh,
don't use the remote.
That's a good question. I know they used to come, but those buttons are like all up in underneath the TV.
Yeah,
right? Like to press the buttons. Yeah,
used to be the dial on the TV set.
I had that job at my grandparents' house, but before they had like a TV with a remote. It was like get up and change the channel.
We're so old.
Yeah,
that was why you had kids back in the day, so you had somebody to change the channel.
100%. Somebody to go to the store for you when you needed something too.
Right.
So, yeah, it was no, I hear you, man. It was I'm excited though. Give us some competitive basketball.
Mm-hmm.
We mentioned it, we didn't touch on the 2 injury spots. They're hopefully minor things, only going to keep them out of the games, their team's next games. Trae Young is out tonight. Hawks are playing the Celtics, so a tough challenge got even tougher. And then I think Milwaukee plays tonight. They host the Bucks. They're going to be without Damian Lillard, who is in concussion protocol. Apparently, he got hit in the head at some point in the third quarter. I have not seen the play where this happened, but he finished the game for Milwaukee, which that's a little worrisome that nothing got caught before, like the day after. But those guys are both out, so that's just two more guys to keep an eye on here as we round it out with a couple more injury updates. But NBA Cup tonight should be fun. Again, I want to thank everybody who came out to overtime last night. It was a blast. You were missed, man. It's people don't like when the dynamic duo is not together. It's people like, I paid for a Batman and Robin movie. Where the hell is Batman and Robin? So they're like, I don't want just Robin here. What's going on? So we had we had a fun time. So it was I was glad you had a little bit of time.
Self-deprecating there, calling yourself Robin. Come on.
I know my place in the world.
Oh my God. So
I'd be more like oh my gosh, I can't think of his name now. The Alfred. I'd rather be him. Like I'm like Ned from Spider-Man. I'm the guy in the chair.
The guy in the chair.
Yeah, I'm the guy in the chair.
So the problem that we have with those is For you, if you want games to end early, I want games to end late.
Yeah,
Because I'm trying to, like, my daughter's 8, yours is older. So my daughter's 8. I'm still doing like bedtime stories and all that kind of stuff. And then I feel guilty as hell. Like if I'm not around to
No, yeah,
do
you
that
did the
stuff
right
with
thing.
it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the games all ended early last night. So you guys didn't get me. But on the flip side, if it's the late games, then you get either just me or you get tired Keith because I'm the night owl and
Yeah.
Keith is not. So
Yeah,
we have to find the sweet spot for some of these.
that's it, right? I will say this too. The funniest thing was, right, because you know how we start the show and it goes live. We have the little countdown before we
Yeah.
start. The number of people were like, "Whoa, trade! I missed it." That were like, "There was a trade, and I was absolutely rolling reading it. And I was like, so I actually jumped into the chat and I was like, "No trade, it's just an overtime show. We're gonna have a little bit of fun tonight."
Because that's normally when we go live.
Right?
Overtime is when we're going on after the games and breaking down everything that we saw happen and just kind of having some fun going live and breaking some stuff down. So that's what the overtime show is all about. It's not the, oh my God, we're going live because Kevin Durant just got traded at 2 a.m.
Yeah, those happen very late when I'm already have been in bed and Trevor's like, "Get up, we have to do a show." Then it's like, "Oh, okay, what's happening here?" My brain's barely functioning. So, yeah, you expect those, and that's probably a month or plus away. Yeah, we're not quite to trade season yet. Still, roughly a third of the league can't be traded. So let's, we'll put a pin on any crazy trade shows for now, I think. But now that I've just jinxed us quite well, so we'll see how that goes.
All right, Keith, I'll tell you what, whether a trade happens or not, I just hope there's no more damn injuries between now and our next show.
Tell me about
Please.
it. Yeah, please. Yeah, I would love to come tomorrow and be like, "Hey, we don't have any injuries to talk about. Let's look through the standings or something like that," because it's there. Guys, in the comments, let us know if you like the play breakdown stuff. We're always trying new things, little chance to experiment here, and just as we want to bring you stuff, but we'll never do that at the expense of major news or transaction or anything. We know where our bread is buttered on that stuff, but yeah, we just thought it was a little interesting, and let us know what you thought of those, and we'll and if it works out, we'll bring more of that kind of in here as we go along and continue to evolve the show.
All right, everybody, thanks again. Don't forget to subscribe. Till next time, see ya and stay safe.